Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is the Nicholas Prostakis Chelsea Ball channel, and I hope everybody has had a great holiday weekend. Hope everybody's having a great New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. Hope it was all well for you guys. But today we're doing something different that I haven't really done before. I'm doing a January transfer window. I guess you could say what I want to see the January transfer window look like for our current Chelsea team. Not yet. I'm not doing one for the players I want to have brought in. That might be tomorrow, might be another day, but that's the thing I want to do. I think I want to do one where I think I bring in, I do one for the signings I want to see, and I think there's one where, yeah, I think we'll do that maybe upcoming soon. But today is just current players that are owned by Chelsea, whether they be on loan, whether they be recalled, whether they be sold, or whether they stay on the team. That's the way I think we're going to do today. I've made a list of certain positions, well, I guess just certain players, and where I think I want them to be, because there's a lot of positions on this team currently that I think need to be adjusted or maybe swapped. I think there need to be players who need to be brought back into the fold of this team. And, what better to than just to, give the guys chances. I think that there's certain positions on this team that definitely, certain players, I guess I should say, that need to be sold. There's certain players that I think need to be recalled. There might be a little bit less than you think, but I think that there's a certain amount of guys that don't deserve to be Chelsea players for this upcoming window and for the foreseeable future. And we'll have to see what the team, does with that piece of knowledge. I think that most Chelsea fans would agree with some of them, but we'll have to see how many of you guys agree with me today. So let's get right into the players I selected. So this is the current list I have made for keep, sell, loan, recall. I think that it's a pretty good list in comparison. We'll go over each player in each spot for purposes of why I think that is. I hope it all looks good on your end in the video. I think it looks, in my opinion, I think it'll look okay. There's a little bit of space that may not be look okay, but I think it looks fine. I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to give out. So we'll start, I think, with the players I want to loan and recall. I think that loaning wise, it's pretty self-explanatory with Omari Hutchinson. I think that he's a player that hasn't gotten any game time. They've already came out and said they want to give him a loan spell. He was doing very well, it looked like, with the U21s before he got that 3-month, I think, hamstring injury or whatever it was. So when he is officially back, it looks like he'll get something out of the team, and for good chances he'll be pretty good. He was, I think, the best player in that Villa Academy before we bought him. So we'll see what he can give us then. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall is one that is a little bit different, though. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, we bought for £30 million from Leicester, and was a player that Enzo Maresca didn't really even want to sign. He was signed, I think, for FFP reasons and maybe just to appease him, but he said, I think he said yes to the signing because I think that the club wanted to bring him in for him or something. He's not a player that fits the mold. He only plays in cup games. He's not good enough for the Premier League. I mean, of course, we haven't seen him start even a Premier League game, play in much Premier League games, but I don't even think he's good enough to play in these Premier League games. I mean, who does he start over? He's not starting over Cole Palmer. He's not starting over Enzo. He's not even starting over Caicedo. And he's not even, in my opinion, going to start over guys that have a chance to be recalled. So, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall is a pretty solid backup to have, if maybe we get injuries. But that's all I can trust him for. I don't see a future for him at Chelsea. I think a loan spell somewhere else, maybe even going back to Leicester, would be a good option for this guy. So we'll have to see what we get out of him. But right now I have him on the loan list. There's a chance he even could be sold in the future. Moving on, go into the recall list now. I'll start with the best loan player we have currently on the team. That is Andre Santos. I think that there's a better chance we don't see him recalled. I think that the club want him to finish out his season at Strasbourg. I can fully understand the reasoning behind it. He's been immense for that Strasbourg side this season. He's been all over the field. He leads in so many main attributes. He's got like 8 goals or 7 goals as a midfielder. He captains. He has the armband for them as a 20-year-old midfielder who's on loan. Who does that? Who gives? I mean, that just shows you how important he is for that Strasbourg team. Leon Rosnier has just given this guy all of the tools and dimensions. He's as good as he is going forward. He's been as good defensively as well. He leads, I think, in average rating. I think for under 21 midfielders. He also, I think, he leads in tackling and ground duels. This guy's been immense for them. He'd add another body for us in the midfield, and I think he would do an excellent job as a guy who could fill in as another pairing in the midfield. Leslie Ugochukwu, I think we saw how good his preseason was in the limited time he got in preseason. I thought he was very, very good. I really thought there was a chance we wouldn't see him go on loan. I thought the loan to Southampton was actually going to be a good loan for him. It started out okay, but I think that Russell Martin didn't really see a fit for him for some reason. I think maybe the tactic he tried to play for some reason in the Premier League was one that didn't fit his standard, which I think is a little dumb. I think he got actually a small injury as well in the early half of his Southampton season. I'm not 100% certain, but I think basically the way he was able to roam free with Maresca a little bit, he was showing in the more of a box-to-box role. That 16-minute cameo he had when he came out of the Inter Milan game was special. So I think he also adds more of a height. I think Ugochukwu was 6'3" or something. He's a bigger body in the midfield. I think he'd be a very good way to stretch from the two guys you have in Enzo and Caicedo that are not the tallest, dominant, winning midfielders. So you definitely get a different option there. I think he'd be good as a third or fourth string backup. And I think he brings, just like I said, another dimension. So I think he's a good recall. And then Trevoh Chalobah. I think Trevoh Chalobah is one that he's probably, you could even say, the second or third best center back on Chelsea. He's just not on the team. He's been immense for Crystal Palace in these last few weeks, the way they've been able to come back and become more of a more prominent side again. Of course, they had a very rough start to this season. They were up and around the relegation places. I still think they're over around the relegation places right now because of how bad their start was. But they've gotten good wins recently, like Brighton. I think that they beat somebody 2-1. I can't remember who it was. They got a draw as well very recently. They've been on a very big stretch for them for this season, and Trevoh Chalobah is most definitely a part of that. He scored a few goals even this season. Now, do I think that the club will end up recalling him? No. I don't think, like they talked about last season, or in the summer, they want to sell him. They want to get their pure profit for the sale, and it doesn't make any sense. Of course, FFP reasons are so massive, but this is a guy that is becoming an excellent center back. He was excellent with us last season, and it makes no sense that you'd rather keep other guys who I have on this list here at the team instead of being sold. So I think Trevoh Chalobah deserves another chance, and I think that Maresca would love using him as another center back option, especially right now. So bring back Trevoh. Let's keep the sales list for last. Let's go to the keep list. I think that the keep list, some of them are self-explanatory, but some of them aren't. I decided to throw Malo Gusto on here just for the shits and giggles. I think that Malo, of course, is not going to be sold, but there has been multiple links with him going to City and Liverpool, especially. Liverpool has been one of the major ones. I even got comments in my comment section talking to Liverpool fans, why is Malo Gusto, is he actually that bad right now? Is he actually performing that bad? Yes, most Chelsea fans would say he's been very underperforming and he's not in a good stretch of form, but we don't dislike him and we don't want the guy to leave. As a fan myself, Malo Gusto was incredible for us last year, and even though he hasn't had the greatest of seasons this year, I still have all the faith in the world that he'll be able to turn it around. Now, just with Reece James coming back, it's just going to get harder for him. But Malo stays 100%. Now, I put Renato Vega on here because of his limited game time since the Conference League is over, and even being a member of the first team in these recent few weeks. Of course, this guy's now a Portuguese international, a multiple-game international appearance. I think he's got 3 caps, or something, 2 or 3 caps under his belt. So now he's gotten that international game time under his belt, so props to him. But the limited game time has still become something that maybe you should look out for more. Of course, he's played pretty well in Conference League games, but if that's all he's going to play in, who knows how important he is. I mean, we saw guys like Renato Vega play center back. Maybe he'll even have to fill in at center back for certain games. Is he better than someone like the next guy we're going to talk about on the keep list? Is he better than a guy I have on the sell list? Who knows, but I don't think he'll be used like that. Even though he can play center back, left back, or midfield, who knows how important he is. I think it's a chance he can get loaned out, but I just don't think there's a big enough chance of getting loaned out. I think he'll stay with us for the foreseeable future. Benoit Badiashile, I have decided to keep on my keep list, and for the reason being is that in the limited appearances he's had this season, he hasn't looked atrocious. Now, is that a reason to keep a guy who hasn't been up to standard of Chelsea? No. I just like his chances of improving more than the guy I have on the sell list. I like his chances of improving more. Now, like I said, do I think he's been special? Of course not. Absolutely, of course not. But I think there is a player in there in his 6'5" frame that could definitely be of use to this Chelsea team. Now, do I think he deserves the amount of chances that he got in limited stretch? No. I think he could be definitely a guy who plays in these Conference League and FA Cup games to get limited time, maybe a guy off the bench, but that's it. I think he needs to stay for that reason right now. So that's it for Benoit Badiashile. Aaron Anselmino, a guy who just came in from Boca Juniors. Obviously, we paid, I think, a $1 million buyout fee to bring him back here in January. And I think that I have him on the keep list for now because I don't like our odds of buying another center back here in January. If that were to happen, we'd, of course, sell somebody. And if we did bring in a center back, he would change from a keep to a loan. Now, where would he go on loan? That is another question to ask. He can't go to loan to Strasbourg unless they replaced Andre Santos with Aaron Anselmino. That is the only thing I think they could do. Him coming back as well did free up another international loan spot, so the team could loan somebody else out because Anselmino's back. But as it currently stands, I think I see Anselmino staying with us. He's currently going to be training with the first team and being a member of the team. From what I've heard, he's an amazing bulk progressor, a great passer, and he's looked really, really good. And you look at like the charts of U21 defenders, he's amongst the top, I think, 5 for U21 defender, or just counting U21 center back ratings. He's amongst that list, so we'll see what we got when he gets here. Of course, he played in a Boca side that's been very mediocre this season, so we'll see what he can give with us. And the last one I have is Marc Guiu up top. Marc Guiu has had, for his standards, a wishy-washy season. The reason I say that is because he's been incredible in cup play and Conference League play. He's the top scorer in the Conference League for a reason. He's gotten his chance in the games he's taken in the Conference League. However, he's only gotten really playing time in those Conference League games. Chelsea fans recently have been saying he should be the backup striker and should be getting game time off the bench. You know, I think the former Barcelona technical director was saying, why would Barcelona let this guy leave? He's a brilliant young player. He was getting more game time with Barcelona than he is as a player here. He was getting bench minutes for Barcelona last season. I mean, he hasn't gotten much game time in the Premier League. Of course, the Premier League's a different game, but I think Marc Guiu could do a hell of a job as a Premier League striker. We'll have to see as the season goes on, but as Maresca said, he thinks that Marc Guiu would be better for his development if he were to stay and train with the team every day and get cup minutes. He thinks that'd be better for him. I can see where he's coming with that, and I think it makes as much sense myself. I think Guiu stays. Now, the last part of this, I got the sales, and we're going to start hot and heavy, bro. Nkunku, I have on the sell list. There's a good chance I can see him leaving. There has been reports saying that any players that come to Chelsea and want to be sold, and they come into the manager's office or they come into the technical director or your GM's office, if you get any of those and they say they want to leave, they will sell you. However, they will not sell you unless you're doing that. And as Nkunku has already been saying he's a little unhappy, his agent has been offering him out. We saw, I think it was with Barca, even though he will never go to Barca. There's now links with Nkunku to Arsenal. Now, I would not like to see that. It's a different situation from Kai Havertz. I would not like to see Christo Nkunku go to Arsenal. That is one move I would not like to see. Absolutely not like to see. However, as much as we all love Nkunku as a player, as much as he's been absolutely a special, special player, he just doesn't fit as a striker in a Maresca system. He can't be that false nine type player and that complete forward. I think that it's better for him to get another move. So it's a sell for me. Try and get our money back from Nkunku. I think he's a special player, but I don't think it's special enough for this Maresca system. Axel Disasi is a clear one. Now, I don't like to be negative toward players. I like to, we know how important most players are, especially we know how Axel Disasi is a leader and one of the bigger presences inside the locker room. But there's no denying that he's just not good enough. He's just not good enough. I said it in my last videos that he is just he's not Chelsea quality. He's not a right back by any means, and the mistakes that he makes are way too often. Absolutely way too often. And with guys that we have coming in, Aaron Anselmino coming back, hopefully other guys coming back from injuries, like your Fofanas, like your Badiashile, hopefully soon. He could be the last center back of those 5, basically. So you need to get your money back, get something for him, let DSSC walk, get your cash. Sadly, love the guy for who he is as a Chelsea teammate, but I can't love the guy for how he's played. So actually, DSSC has to go. Chile, self-explanatory. He doesn't play. He's on high wages. He doesn't fit the brand now of this new Chelsea team and this new Chelsea generation. He needs to go. The ownership has wanted him gone since last summer. So Maresca's not played him at all. He played in the one Carabao Cup match. That's it. So Chile's done. Hopefully we can make some kind of profit. I wouldn't be surprised if we just ended up letting him go on a free, like terminating his contract or something. I can see that happening in the summer as well or something. But Chile's got to go. He's got to let his contract walk. Carney Chukwuemeka, I had him in the same circumstances I had in the last video with him in Chile, is that they both just have played no minutes. Carney's gotten more minutes because he's a young player who at least can somewhat play attack that Maresca has, but it's not the same. Carney is just, his injury was the most defining thing of last season for him, and it ruined his game time after that and his projected minutes. And Carney is just not in the plans of Maresca anymore. The club has already stated they want $40 million. They want his release clause, which is $40 million for him. So I don't think there's a chance they get $40 million, but if there is, they're going to accept that he's going to walk. AC Milan, of course, were strongly linked with him in the summer, so we'll see if they end up coming in for him again. And the last player is Casade. Now, this one's interesting because I had a little bit more problems with this one. There's a chance I would let him go on loan. However, because of the limited international spaces, I don't know if they could. But there's a chance, like right now, Torino are the biggest team to get his signature. They have a deal in place almost. They offered a deal to Chelsea for Casade that is like a sale, or they want to sign Casade, and Chelsea have like a Nico Paz type deal in Como, where Chelsea have an optional future, or not an optional fee, they have a buyback clause of a certain set number to bring him back to the team. So Chelsea, let's say Chelsea were to the signing of Cesare Casade costed, let's say Torino bought him for $25 million, which probably would not be the fee. Chelsea would then have let's say a $32.5 million buyback clause. Not sure if that's how much it would, but that they would have to buy him for $32.5 million, and then Torino would make their said profit for player. So that's how that deal would end up going. I do like that sort of deal for someone like a Cesare Casade. I think it's a great move for him as well. I think going back to the Serie A and getting some game time is very, very important. He'll be a member of that team who can play every day and progress. He's at the point where he's almost 22 years old, I think. So a move in his career like this needs to come now, and his progression is only going to be more and more important now. So for the remaining parts of this season, this is the list that I wanted to have here, because I just think that nobody else really on the team is someone that's like, none of the other players are like ones that I'm really thinking they're going to go. These were the only guys that I really thought that have a certain chance of leaving here in this summer. And the certain guys that are being recalled, it's almost the exact same thing. And the guys loaned out, there's not many guys I feel like should get loaned out. I don't think there's many guys who will be loaned out. It might be one or two, but Chelsea team already stated there's not going to be a ridiculous amount of business here in January unless, the stars alight for some player. There was that entire thing in January for Victor Osimhen's contract. Now, I don't think that will end up happening because, of course, he has that personal option or whatever. But there's got to be a few options. I will come out with a list of signings I want to see for maybe this January, tomorrow, or Friday. Let me know what you guys think, though, on my list. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.